Limited and Magic the Gathering can be a bit confusing. Sealed and Draft are very similar formats with one key difference, whether or not you build your deck on the fly or from a static pool of cards. Today we are focusing on our fuzzy friends and terrifying calamity beasts that are in Bloomburrow. This is an all-new plane full of cute animals and amazing artwork. Huge shout out to Wizards of the Coast. They did a wonderful job curating this set. I've been so excited for it, so let's go ahead and dig deeper into Sealed specifically for our pre-release events. Pre-release is a Magic event held the weekend before a set's release, where players gather for an early opportunity to play the new cards. Once a set has fully been released, you can still purchase pre-release kits. That is just when it becomes the sealed format. So the pre-release kit has some basic lands or all you need to enjoy and build your sealed deck. Today, let's take a closer look at what's inside a pre-release pack, and that's where you'll find the following. 6 Bloomburrow play boosters, 1 traditional foil year-stamped rare or mythic rare Bloomburrow promo card, 1 Magic the Gathering Arena Code card, but only available in select regions, 1 deck box, and 1 spin-down life counter. Using the cards in your play boosters, your foil promo card, and any number of basic lands, you will construct a deck of 40 cards at minimum, and this is called your sealed deck. All right, now you've come to the fun part. You've opened your boosters, read all your cards, you've been mesmerized by the adorable artwork, and now you're ready to build your deck. The first thing you want to do is sort your cards into the different colors, making sure that the Wooburg pie is clearly seen. So in Bloomburrow, specifically, you'll want to find the 2 best colors from your cards and construct a deck from those. This is because Bloomburrow is a set focusing on creature types, and each of the 10 2-color pairs have an adorable creature type associated with it. There are also some brand new mechanics as well as familiar returning ones, but let's take a closer look at each color pairing and the Wooburg pie to get an idea of what each animal folk is up to in this valley. The mechanical focus of color pairs are known as archetypes. By keeping these archetypes in mind, players have an easy path toward a cohesive deck and an ultimate win strategy. On the plane of Bloomburrow, these archetypes are related to the type of animal that you're focusing on, so let's go ahead and take a look and break those down. Azorius is birds and creatures without flying. The birds of Bloomburrow bring gifts to their grounded counterparts. So since you're able to make your small creatures stronger, tokens created with offspring can rise to the occasion of their larger counterparts, prioritizing low-to-the-ground creatures and high-in-the-sky birds to ensure victory. Dimir are rats and threshold. So the rats bring back threshold, an ability that wants you to put 7 or more cards into your graveyard. This is a control deck that wants to stall until you can unlock your threshold abilities using blue spells to put cards into your graveyard and black's ability to remove creatures. Rakdos are lizards and opponents losing life. So overwhelm your opponents with abilities that have them losing life, where your lizards will play alongside the direct damage spells that red brings to the table and combat tricks. This is one of the most aggressive decks in Bloomburrow, utilizing lizards with life drain triggers and evasive keywords. Gruul are raccoons and expend. This archetype wants you to stockpile mana for massive turns, overwhelming your opponents with hard-hitting creatures. Raccoons also have cards with the expend ability, rewarding you for spending large amounts of mana in a single turn. Selesnya are rabbits and tokens. Just like every Selesnya deck, we have tokens out the wazoo. So rabbits have the most cards with offspring, allowing you to copy your best creatures with outnumbering anyone who stands in your way. The archetype can easily overwhelm your opponent with a token army, just as we know Selesnya can do. Easy peasy. Orzhov are bats and life gain and life loss. So bats combine the flyers of white with the life gain of black. Bats' abilities care if you've gained or lost life, allowing them to go for the win when you're on defense or offense. So you have options. Izzet are otters and non-creature spells. So you're a spell-slinging decks because otters love instants and sorceries, opening you up to a new unique spell-slinger style in the Bloomburrow field, where you have plenty of otters giving you the prowess ability, turning your spells into overwhelming advantages in combat. Golgari are squirrels and foraging. The Forge appears on several of the rat cards, so this ability lets you exile cards from your graveyard or sacrifice food tokens to play for its cost. We also have big hitters like Liliana, so keep an eye for her, but the black cards in general have the rat archetype with some excellent crossover here. So bridging the gap between the two rodents are a great and excellent place to combine cards for multiple creature types, having you mix things up on the fly. So be creative. Boros are Mice and Valiant. Mice are another one of the most aggressive decks in Bloomburrow, and the Valiant ability is a trigger, which happens when it's the creature being triggered for the first time by a spell or ability you control each turn. This plays with the equipment and instant speed combat tricks of white, so think fast aggro here. Finally, we have Simic, which is frogs and enter the battlefield triggers. So we're flickering, we're blinking. Frogs really want to enter the battlefield over and over again. They're hopping into battle. So green and blue decks are known for their ability to draw tons of cards and play massive creatures. So blink your amphibians to bounce them to your hand to replay them to really max out the cost here. When deciding what colors your deck will be, you aren't just looking for colors that you have the most of. You also want to prioritize powerful threats to put pressure on your opponent. So these cards will often be the rares and mythics in your deck, but anything that puts your opponent on the back foot will also serve you well. Spells that draw you lots of cards, massive creatures, or permanents that provide long-term benefits are also useful. Something we really need to keep in mind, though, other than our bombs, are going to be removal. But before we get there, let's look at one helpful tool. It's called bread. I know, but listen to this. Bread is a general guideline strategy for prioritizing your picks while building your deck in sealed formats. Bread stands for bombs, removal, evasion, aggro, and duds. A bomb is a card with significant power, which are some certainty that would help you win the game. Removal are cards that remove a threat, such as a powerful permanent controlled by an opponent. Evasion is a card that has a chance of getting past natural defenses by your opponent. Examples are spells that can't be countered or creatures with abilities like flying, anything that prohibits them from being blocked. Aggro are cards that play aggressively, quickly, and without much other strategy, which would wear down your opponent's life total or defending creatures. A dud is a card that is generally not worth playing, either because its mana cost is too high or for whatever reason, benefit it gives or whatever benefit it doesn't give is particularly advantageous. So making sure that you kind of keep the duds at last because you don't really care either way if you have them or not. So duds are duds. You don't want them. We really want to focus on the bombs, removal, evasion, and aggro here. So make sure that you focus on those, but a big tip is focusing on removal. So let's go ahead and take a deeper look at that. Prioritizing removal helps you take out the threats your opponents will play, and each color has its own way of removing threats, so you can clear a path to victory no matter what color combo you're playing. White removes artifacts, enchantments, and creatures that pose a massive threat. Blue can bounce permanents back to their owner's hand, though that's the only short-term solution, so stop them before they hit the battlefield with a counter spell. Black can cut down opposing creatures with relative ease, so just straight up destroy it. Utilize well-timed removal spells to keep your opponents from amassing large board state. Red uses direct damage to eliminate creatures. This is where we have burn, though larger creatures can outmuscle and damage output, so keep an eye on that. Green doesn't have the same kind of direct removal as other colors, but nothing beats a big creature like a bigger creature. Spells that utilize your creature's sheer size can give green the edge it needs to win. So as your threats you have to answer the push that your opponent is giving you, make sure that you focus on your color combo and play with confidence. Since you're playing with a smaller card pool and sealed, lands help you fix your mana are the best way to ensure that you can cast all of these awesome spells. Which brings us to our final deck building strategy for sealed. The mana costs of your cards included in your deck matter. So we want to focus on the mana curve. This is where you count the card for its mana cost, helping you to understand how efficient your deck can be played. Generally, you want to run 23 spells and 17 lands. In early turns, you'll have fewer lands, so therefore you want mana to play those spells, so having lower CMC creatures. By including more cards with lower mana cost rather than higher ones, it'll ensure that you have spells to cast both early and late in the game. But we need those heavy hitters late game to really drive home the win. So don't discount higher counted cards. Generally, you want to be able to have a curve that looks like this. But at the end of the day, just keep in mind this is a guideline. The pace and synergy in your deck will also determine your spell to mana balance and ultimately your play style. So remember to be confident, have fun, and may your foils lay flat. Remember to keep those cute critters alive in your limited experience with Bloomburrow, and let me know what bombs you pull. I think it would be so fun to see either the big crazy creature you're excited about, the thing that's going to be great in your commander deck, or really what artwork you were most excited for. So make sure you let me know in the comments, and I hope you have an awesome Bloomburrow experience. And as always, happy gaming.